Hi, it's Concord Wind. I gave my coffee away because it was making me throw up, and I feel like garbage today. Yeah, I don't feel so good, and I'm worried I'm not gonna have much to say. I mean, I prayed earlier, and I just I don't feel good. But my sister asked me if I wanted to go to the gym with her, and I said, I'll go if you let me borrow like $3.50 to get an Alani, which is an energy drink. Um, and it's an energy drink that I do okay with. Like, I don't throw up as much when I drink that as much as the coffee. I think because the coffee is more acidic. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is. And it could be because I'm out in public when I drink it. When I'm out in public, I don't throw up as bad as I do in private for some reason. It's like some type of social awareness thing that factors into whether I throw up or not. Um, so yeah, that's it. I'm gonna pray. Dear Almighty God, I hope my sister texts back soon and lets me know if she's able to get the Alani or whatever for me, and I just want to feel better. But if not, I'll deal with it. I just want your will to be done. Whatever your will is, I want your will to be done. We can't know all the details of your will at every second, because your will is, you have a will for, your will is like very complex. Like it's alive. Your will is alive, and it moves with every passing day. And, for every thing there is, your will is either being done there or is being resisted there, and so I just want your will to be done no matter what, and I don't want to resist your will. I want to conform to your will. So if you want me to quit caffeine, I will. And if I'm able to get that Alani today so I can go to the gym and feel good, then that'd be great too. Whatever, I don't care. As long as your will is done, that's all I care about. And may your will be done in the lives of my viewers, um, as they listen to these words, and may they receive enlightenment, as it is your will to enlighten people. And may your will be done, God. Amen. All right. All right. Let's get into this. The revelation of man's corrupt disposition has its source in nothing more than man's dulled conscience, his malicious nature, and his unsound sense. If man's conscience and sense are able to become normal again, then he will become someone fit for use before God. It is simply because man's conscience has always been numb, and because man's sense, which has never been sound, is growing ever duller, that man is increasingly rebellious toward God, such that he even nailed Jesus to the cross and refuses God's incarnation in the last days, entry into his home, and condemns God's flesh and sees God's flesh as lowly. If man had but a little humanity, he would not be so cruel in his treatment of God's incarnate flesh. If he had but a little sense, he would not be so vicious in his treatment of the flesh of God incarnate. If he had but a little conscience, he would not give thanks to God incarnate in this way. Man lives in the era of God become flesh, yet he is incapable of thanking God for giving him such a good opportunity, and instead curses the coming of God or completely ignores the fact of God's incarnation and is seemingly against it and wary of it. Regardless of how man treats the coming of God, God, in short, has always carried on patiently with his work, even though man has not been the slightest bit welcoming toward him, and blindly makes requests of him. Man's disposition has become supremely vicious, his sense has grown supremely dull, and his conscience has been completely trampled by the evil one and long ago ceased to be the original conscience of man. Man is not only ungrateful to God incarnate for bestowing so much life and grace upon man, but has even become resentful toward God for giving him the truth. It is because man has not the slightest interest in the truth that he has grown resentful toward God. Not only is man unable to lay down his life for God incarnate, but he also tries to extract favors from him and claims an interest that is dozens of times greater than what man has given to God. People of such conscience and sense think this is no great matter and still believe they have expended so much of themselves for God and that God has given them too little. There are people who, having given me a bowl of water, hold out their hands and demand I pay them for 2 bowls of milk, or having given me a room for one night, demand I pay rent for several. With such a humanity and such a conscience, how could you still wish to gain life? What contemptible wretches you are! This sort of humanity in man and this sort of conscience in man are what caused God incarnate to wander across the land with no place to find shelter. Those who are truly possessed of conscience and humanity should worship and wholeheartedly serve God incarnate not because of how much work he has done, but even if he were to do no work at all. This is what should be done by those who are of sound sense, and it is the duty of man. Most people even speak of conditions in their service to God. They do not care whether he is God or man, and they only talk of their own conditions and only seek to satisfy their own desires. When you cook for me, you demand a service fee. When you run for me, you ask for running fees. When you work for me, you demand work fees. When you wash my clothes, you demand laundry fees. When you provide for the church, you demand recu- recuperation costs. When you speak, you demand speaker fees. When you give out books, you demand distribution fees. And when you write, you demand writing fees. Those I have dealt with even demand recompense from me, while those who have been sent home demand reparations for the damage to their name. Those who are unmarried demand a dowry or compensation for their lost youth. Those who kill a chicken demand butcher's fees. Those who fry food demand frying fees. And those who make a soup demand payment for that too. This is your lofty and mighty humanity. And these are the actions your warm conscience dictates. Where is your sense? Where is your humanity? Let me tell you, if you carry on like this, I will cease to work among you. I will not work among a pack of beasts in human attire. I will not suffer thus for such a group of people whose fair faces hide feral hearts. I will not endure for such a pack of animals that has not the slightest possibility of salvation. The day I turn my back on you is the day you die. It is the day the darkness comes upon you, and the day that you are forsaken by the light. Let me tell you, I will never be benevolent to a group such as yours, a group which is beneath even animals. There are limits to my words and actions, and with your humanity and conscience as they are, I will do no more work, for you are too lacking in conscience. You have caused me too much pain, and your despicable behavior disgusts me too much. People who are so lacking in humanity and conscience will never have a chance at salvation. I would never save such heartless and ungrateful people. When my day comes, I will rain down my scorching flames for all eternity upon the children of disobedience that once provoked my fierce wrath. I will impose my everlasting punishment upon those animals that once hurled incentive at me and forsook me. I will burn for all time with the fires of my anger the sons of disobedience who once ate and lived together with me, but did not believe in me, who insulted and betrayed me. I will subject all those who provoked my anger to my punishment. I'll rain down the entirety of my anger upon those beasts that once wished to stand beside me as my equals, yet did not worship or obey me. The rod with which I strike man will fall upon those animals who once enjoyed my care, and once enjoyed the mysteries that I spoke, and who once tried to take material enjoyments from me. I will be forgiving of no person who tries to take my place. I will spare none of those who attempt to wrest food and clothes from me. Now you remain free from harm and continue to overreach in the demands you make of me. When the day of wrath arrives, you will not make any more demands of me. At that time, I will let you enjoy yourselves to your heart's content. I'll force your face into the earth, and you will never be able to get up again. Sooner or later, I'm going to repay this debt to you, and I hope you patiently await the arrival of this day. Oh my goodness. Yeah, these words are hardcore. I was laughing at one point, cause, but then it became really serious. And, this is, it's funny that I was praying about God's will because, this passage relates to God's will and how there are severe consequences for not obeying God's will. And we should desire for God's will to be done, and we should make God's will a priority over our own. We shouldn't, demand that God pay us for working for Him or doing something for Him. We shouldn't ask for God to pay us. And what value does money really have, anyways? Money, its only use is, or the only use that it should have, really, is for survival. You know, you should work or whatever means that you use to get enough money to survive. That's all you need. You don't. So, like, if you have a job or if you're on disability or whatever, if you have enough to survive on and you want to work for God, you shouldn't ask God to pay you for that work because you have enough to survive. Why do you need God to pay you? That's just being greedy. It's being selfish, and it's not being considerate of God, who has given you your life. I mean, we we owe God everything. Our lives are given to us by God. We owe Him our very lives. We owe Him so much, and yet we think He's in debt to us and owes us. Like, that's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know how many people in the world are actually as described in the words I just read, but apparently it was enough that those words had to be, expressed. And I think that's ridiculous. I mean, I don't feel that I've ever been like that, to be honest. I guess because I was, lucky enough to come across these words when I was young, and it was either 7 or 8 years ago. I mean, it was 2017, September 27th. So 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. It's not 25 yet. Or it is 25, but it's not September yet. So it's 7 years. It'll be 8 years next month. Um, so I was still pretty young when I came across the word. So I had not yet experienced um, a lot of the corruption of the world. I was still very corrupt. I was very arrogant and I was deceitful and I chased women, but I still had somewhat of a conscience. My conscience wasn't completely dulled. Even though I was arrogant and deceitful, I told lies and deceived, and I chased women, and I thought, getting married was the most important thing. It was more important than God's will, and I thought God's will was for me to get married anyways, so it didn't matter. And I was so corrupt, and I needed to experience these words to realize my corruption and change. And but my conscience was always somewhat intact. I didn't experience like the dulling of conscience, like as described in these words. So, and I'm not saying that to brag or say I'm better than anybody or anything like that. It's just the facts. I'm just expressing myself and talking on my experience. Like, that's all it is. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. I'm still worse, I've been worse than most people. Maybe not, but maybe about the same as everybody else, probably. But Not everybody's a liar, and I was definitely a liar for most of my life. I'm 32 years old, and I was a liar all the way up until I was 29. So about 29 years of my life, I was a liar. So I've only had about 3 years of practice of being an honest person. Isn't that something? That's really mind blowing if you think about it. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna check my messages, see if my sister messaged me back about the Alani while I was reading or while I was praying. See what's going on there, and you'll see me tomorrow. So God bless and goodbye.